Today's August 18th. Baseball America and Pipeline has some rankings that we're going to talk about at the end of this thing, but the streak's over, guys. The streak's over. Streak's over, guys. Yins, guys, thank you for listening to the Pitch to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh, and I'm joined as always by my brother Jake. What's up, Jake?
What's going on, man?
Well, going well. Well, that's what I said. Well, it's going well.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be going better than it was last episode, right?
Yeah, I hit live and was like, I didn't write an intro, so I'm just gonna say we won a game. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this beautiful Sunday night after the Pirates just won a series and snapped the 10-game losing streak. Finally.
Thank goodness.
Glad that's over. Thought kind of maybe for a second we'd see like a 10-game winning streak, but you got to start Jake Woodford, I guess.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And go up against George Kirby on the same day.
Right. You know, I told Ashley we were sitting on the couch watching I think it was the second game, and I'm like, this isn't good for us. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, Josh brought up a statistic that we were 1-10 while I was off the show. I said, I might have to connect with my phone in San Francisco.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you probably are. We're going to have to figure something out. Just call in. We can make it happen.
even if it's for a minute.
Yeah, we just got
I was on.
You were on. We got to have it. We got to make sure it happens.
Thursday's going to be awfully hard, though, because I'll be on Alcatraz Island Thursday evening. So.
Yeah.
That one's tough.
Yeah, that one's going to be tough.
I don't even know if they got cell phone service there.
Yeah, and you're going to be 3 hours back, so you'll probably be there because it'll probably be late, but you'll probably still be there. Yeah. Or you guys are doing a late thing, right?
Yeah, we're doing a night tour.
Because you're crazy.
Of Alcatraz.
Are you doing a day tour too?
I think it starts when the sun's still up.
Yeah.
But then you'll probably see the sunset and all that.
Okay. Pit City, what? How you doing, man? We, that would be interesting, but I'd be like, if it's dark when you get there, it would feel like, okay, I didn't get to actually see this place though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I bet it'll be cool either way.
Yeah.
You'll probably get a chance to see it a little bit and then you'll, do all that stuff. All right, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. I mean, the Pirates won a couple games. They win a series. Skeens pitched this weekend. Nobody could watch it, but he pitched.
I watched it.
Oh, how's it feel to be a Crapple TV subscriber?
Feels great because I can watch Ted Lasso anytime I want.
Okay, well,
if you haven't watched Ted Lasso, guys, watch Ted Lasso.
Can't.
You can't? That's why I said guys.
Fair enough. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa had some things to say this week. We're going to talk about that this weekend. I gotta watch it this weekend. Andrew McCutchen got hurt this weekend. We're going to talk about that. So a lot to get into and a lot to kind of process through on, a really okay week. I mean, we won a series. Let's not forget that. You know what I'm saying? We got out of it. We won a series. Everything's good. Still not going to make the postseason probably, but
dang it, Bobby.
The idea is that we, won a series.
Yeah.
Play good baseball, right? Play good baseball the rest of the way through. Help us believe in some of these things that IKF is claiming. And Pit City What is already saying, I love IKF's attitude.
Well, how can you not?
Yeah. I mean, well, we'll get into him. Let's go into a series win first. And we don't do game recaps here, but what do you want to bring up? I mean, the first thing I want to bring up is David Bednar gets 2 saves this weekend. Did give up a homer in the one game. But Saturday night, Domingo Germán walks a guy, hits 2 guys, and they bring in Bednar with the bases loaded, nobody out. Now, go ahead.
You can tell that it's been driving Bednar crazy. Because he always wears it on his face a little bit. Like,
yeah, he doesn't know it.
Like, just what is going? You know what I mean? And then he gives up that home run, and he's just like, you just kind of saw like this thing. He's like, no, I'm done with this. And like, it just looked like a completely different pitcher. And then he comes into the game after Germán gets the bases loaded with nobody out to get out of that without even giving up a run.
Right.
Like, Rosarena threw his bat down the third base line.
Yeah, and it would be easy to say like, okay, well, so you had the bloop, which is a good pitch to get a bloop, but you got to think that as much as we dog on G1 Bay, he's probably the only guy we have that makes that play. Just for the sheer fact that he's fast, and he is very fast, right? I don't know that if you get a good jump on that, you can still make up the ground that he had to make up. Because we know he like hopped a couple times before he went after the ball. But that's fine, right? And that's actually one that's a little bit hard because you don't know how well he got it. So, you know what I mean? Give him a pass on that. I like to look at the individual plays. But anyway, the swing and miss, he just hasn't had. And he had it Saturday night.
Yeah.
And yes, I know Randy Arozarena struck out 5 times in that game. But, I mean, he looked silly.
And Randy Arozarena will do that. And then in that moment is when when he comes through. Right.
OG says Saturday night. That second save for Bednar was about as nails as it gets. Hope he can keep that up. Mm-hmm. And that's really how it felt. Like it was a different outing that we got to see Saturday night. That was pretty reminiscent of what we're used to, what we're accustomed to with Bednar. And it was, you know, the score was 7-2, but when you're, you know, one swing away from being a 1-run game, and that's exactly what he's dealt with is one swing.
Yeah.
Then it feels like, you know, that was still a big moment, especially on the heels of a 10-game losing streak. I mean, you just knowing that it's Kirby Woodford tomorrow, we have to get this game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We have to. So I thought it was great. Germán, on the other hand, are we done with this already? Can we just stop?
Yeah, I would like to.
Okay. So the game on Sunday obviously dropped. It got a little bit of a laugher there at one point. It didn't feel like it was... I thought it was interesting, like, even when we were down a lot early, it was like, but you still felt like you had a chance to come back in it. I mean, there at one point I was like, okay, we're down 7-0, but it's actually 8-0, but it's the 5th inning. And you kind of felt like we still got 5 opportunities to hit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Going into the bottom of the 5th, and you're like, you could chip away at this thing. They didn't do that. I mean, they started 2 in the 6th, but then it kind of fell apart.
You're a little more optimistic than me right now because was it Friday? Friday, Skeens gives up the home run. Well, that's it. We lost. We're not scoring that many runs.
Yeah. But the thing is I mean, if you look at every game individually when you're watching it, there's a path to come back. You know what I mean? In every way.
Sure.
I was in Cincinnati last year for that comeback. So, you know, if you didn't have any of those when you played, you at least got to see that one last year from this team. But like I played in games where we were down 7 with 1 inning to go and came back and won the game. You know what I'm saying? So like I it just doesn't matter to me. Like anything can happen. And so what is the road to winning that game? That's what I'm always looking at. Like in the 5th inning, I'm like, chip away, man. You can get back in this or you could not. They obviously did not. Jake Woodford, I'll give him a couple passes. And you know what? Michael said this. The defense was a little bit shaky behind him. Triolo had a really bad game, albeit only marked one error on Triolo today, guys. One error. We'll come back to that. But he had a rough game. We won't come back to Triolo, but just saying, he's marked for one error. Am I in the wrong game? I am. I was like, I don't even see the error. Okay, yeah, one error. But he had a rough day there, and there was some. It's hard to say. The second part of that, he says he tossed up a couple meatballs middle. Like 4 of them. Like in one inning. But to give him some sort of a pass, it decided to pour down rain while he was pitching and clear up for the rest of the game, which seems to just be the way that it happens, right? And we know that they can't grip the ball this year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Michael says 2 infield singles early on were easy outs if Hayes is in. That was the big thing. Not errors, right? But they're plays that Hayes makes. And they were clear, right? I mean, we were like, even on the broadcast, they were saying, they had this and that shouldn't have been. And I mean, infield singles that you feel like he should have made those plays and they ended up being singles. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then of course the double play ball that he threw into right field, which was the error. And that was big. Maybe the moment that kind of really put it away. Maybe, I don't really know. I mean, it was only, I don't know. The rain plays a little bit too, but man, he was throwing him right over the middle. Jake Woodford, probably not the guy you want in the rotation period.
No.
So, but that's where we're at right now. Skeens and Falter pick up wins. Good stuff from them. I didn't see anything there. I'm trying to think what we were.
Skeens didn't have his A game.
Well,
he battled. He battled.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair to say. Dennis Santana. I got to find this. I'm not sure what's going on with my page here. It doesn't load on my sidebar and everything like that, so I'm getting it back. Dennis Santana in July. I'd put this out there this week. In July, 13 2/3 innings, gave up 1 run while walking 3 and striking out 22 in the month of July for the Pirates. Not a typo, 22. 22 strikeouts in 13 2/3 innings. And I say that because he came into that game on Saturday, and it kind of felt like he went 2 innings, he had 3 more strikeouts. The beginning of August, he had a couple outings where he gave up some runs. I think it's been about 4 1/3 or something since that time without giving up any more runs. There might be a little something there with Dennis Santana. He hasn't been as bad as what I thought he was going to be.
Right, yeah. He's come through in some big spots.
Kyle Nicholas is another guy who's come through. A couple more outings from him this weekend, right? He pitched on Friday, right? Yeah. An inning on Friday. He got out of a jam. For Falter on Saturday. ERA 2.84 at this point. And this is a guy that everybody wanted to can and get rid of, and they come on here saying, why are we wasting our time? And we kept saying, be patient with this guy. He's got the stuff to be good. And here we are at a 2.84 ERA, and that could go down even more if he continues to pitch well.
Yeah.
So Kyle Nicholas is looking really good, and somebody that I think you can look forward to, as we go forward, as being part of, kind of like with the way we saw Carmen Majinski last year as he started coming up. And we know that he's dealt with multiple things this year, and it just hasn't. We've seen flashes of it, but then he's back on the IL and kind of stuff like that. Colin Holderman, who had a long stretch of just the absolute elite, and then really scuffled, ends up on the IL. And there's two ways to think about that, right? He went on the IL because he's bad and they made something up, or he got hurt because he was so bad he was trying to overdo it. Or you could say it was probably bothering him for that whole stretch. You know what I'm saying? And then they finally said, we need to get you out of here, man. You got to get this fixed because you're not effective right now. So I don't know which it is, but something like that. But Kyle Nicholas is another guy that just feels positive as you're looking at maybe next year's bullpen, but even the rest of the year. But where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
Is Brian Reynolds all right? Wait.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Reynolds is Brian Reynolds. Listen, they can't be 100% all year.
Yep.
Like on all year. So he's fine. I'm not worried about Brian Reynolds.
Yeah. Tellez, first homer since July 24th. Get him out, hitting a home run. Hopefully that kickstarts something a little bit for him.
Hopefully that gets him to quit pinch hitting for him.
Yeah.
Leave him in the game.
Yeah.
Please. Just leave him in the game.
Leave him in the game.
I'll take my chances.
Yeah. Who else you got? I just feel like
Joey Bart's staying hot.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got 12 home runs now.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, he's making it hard with Endy coming back next year. He's making it hard to be like, just get rid of him.
Yeah,
he's here.
I think he's here. I'm with you there. Yep.
Henry Davis, pick up a first baseman next year or in the offseason.
Yeah.
Do it. I mean, just play first, man. You hit lefties, Tellez hits righties. Dude, I mean, you got to extend Tellez yet, but.
Yeah, how do you feel about that? I mean, as you talk about that, that home run is what, his 10th?
Mm-hmm. And his 9th since June.
Well, yeah,
since
but
the start of June.
But that's just his 10th home run. It's been almost a month since he's hit another one. So, yeah, he's been better. He went through a really hot streak for the month of June and half of July. He's leveled out a little bit. I think he's still giving you good at bats. He's still doing good things. The home runs haven't been there, obviously. But I don't know that it's a given that you just bring Tellez back. I like him, and I've liked him for this year, and I've liked how he turned his season around. That's going to be at the end of the year when we're talking about this season. We're going to bring up what he did in the polar opposite from beginning to end and all of those things, and we're going to talk about all that stuff because of how fun it is. I don't know that it's just automatic that I'm saying, yeah, that's the guy I want next year too. Because what if you have to deal with the same thing? Like he could also hit 30 homers next year. You know what I mean? It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
You like the guy anyway, but we did this with Santana and they ended up not bringing him back. But I don't know yet. Let's see how he finishes the season off. But that is a thought. You know what I'm saying? That is a thought. I just don't know if that's what it is. I don't know if you're still going to get that rowdy. I don't know. OG's got a couple things out here. Skeens is that slogging? I don't know that term. I don't know why. I mean, I know what it means just by looking at it. So through his first dog days, and he still posts a quality start. That's exactly it right there. Also, he's saying he wouldn't bring Tellez back. He's not likely to be better next year in his mind. So, I mean, I think there's, that's a concern that you have. You know what I mean? That's something that they'll have to look at and decide what they think is, if they think that it is something or not. That's going to be tough. But yeah, IKF homered on Friday night. First leadoff homer of his career. 2 hits Friday. He's hitting 281, 317 on base, 436 slugging since coming over. And like Pitt City What said, love his attitude. He made some comments, Jake. Let's get into some IKF comments here. He was on 93.7, The Fan, Dan Zangrilli, and he told him, and I quote, I see this team being a 100-win team next year.
It's bold.
What are your thoughts on this team that we just watched lose 10 in a row? And he said this literally off the heels of that after Friday's win, I think. Maybe even before Friday's game. I don't actually know the timeline of when he said this.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But we've said it a bunch of times. You know what I mean? It's just, it's one of those things, as long as everything develops the way it should. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't foresee, like you and I didn't foresee Sowinski having this type of year this year.
And Hayes.
And Hayes having this type of offensive year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are unforeseen things you can't. But if everything goes right, then I could see it. I mean, you got the pitching there. We're going to get Oviedo back next year. Hopefully he's, similar to what he was last year. I don't know. It's a bold statement.
It's a bold statement. Yeah, so obviously when the news comes out, the first thought is, dude, you're crazy. You know what I mean? It just doesn't feel like, coming off of that, 10-game losing streak, dog days of August, you ran into the guys who are going to be in the postseason and you saw what they were capable of doing. It's one thing to say, like, this team's young, they're playing, they're doing well, and then to come into it and say, they're doing fine, but that 10-game losing streak just happened to be against a red-hot Arizona. It was Arizona, San Diego, LA, San Diego. They're all fighting, running away with this, and you basically were just, you standing on the tracks when the train came through, right? And it shows that, like, this team was not ready for that.
Right.
And that's okay. Alex Stumpf decided to ask him the next day about that. And I don't know, like, some of his comments on Saturday night were, when I got here, we were above 500, and a lot of that had to do with guys who were young. Keep those guys together. I've heard a lot of good things about Jared Jones and Bubba Chandler, and even a lot of the prospects and draft picks from previous years. This is the key things I want you to say. Now, I've been talking about the Baltimore rebuild for a long time, right? And I've told you we've talked about how they did 4 years. The 5th year was a bridge year. The 6th year is that year, right? And he brings up Baltimore, which is why I was like, oh, you know what? This is it. And he says, you look at Baltimore in 2022, which was year 5 for them. When I was with the Yankees, we were beating them by 1 run every game. They were in last place in the division, but they were on us. And the following year, last year, 2023, they won the AL East. They went from 100-loss team, and in 2022, they went, I think they had 83 wins, but they were basically like around 500.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went to 100 wins. And you got IKF saying, I played against that team. And here we are. We're in that year, that bridge year where we're going to mess around with 500. Now, they may have just killed their chance to be over it, but they're going to have to play some good ball. But they're going to mess around with 500, and this has always been about 2025. Now, I don't know about 100 wins. But essentially, next year should be the year that it all breaks out.
Yeah.
I have a hard time seeing that right now, but I like the comparison. I like where he's going with this. I think the other ones, he's talked about playing those teams in the NL West. I think the other ones, it felt like we were winning games and something came up out of a little immaturity, which is exactly, you know what I'm saying? That's how it happens. A young team learning how to get over that hump.
Yeah.
The thing is if they don't learn how to get over the hump, how much of that are you believing, right?
Right. Yeah.
But he goes in and he says some other things. And he says, anybody watching, we were in those games. And I think that's true for the most part, right? They were in those games. But IKF kind of backed up what he was saying. It wasn't just, oh, yeah, I'm just going to be positive. Like, I felt like there was a little bit of thought process there, and he was able to recall watching Baltimore and how much he feels like this team is similar to that team. And I think that carries some weight there. I don't know if it's that much for me, but like, you just don't know. Like, are they going to be competitive or not? That's what really matters.
Right.
How many times has the Pirates won 100 games, Jake? The Pirates franchise in general. What do you think?
I mean, it's a handful.
Anybody in the chat, how many times do you think the Pirates in their franchise have won 100 games?
Man,
I bet they've lost 100 games more than they've won 100 games.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think? I'm going to tell you.
I'm just going to run. I'm going to throw a number out there. What were you going to tell me?
No, I like you to. No. Okay, so obviously five championships, right?
Mm-hmm.
Only one of them won 100 games. Only one of the World Series teams won 100 games. Which is wild.
I mean, like 4?
No. All right, sorry, I was just reading something else. Another year that they won 100 games, they didn't even go, like, there's not a playoff result.
Jeez.
Like, I don't understand, because they were first of 8. How did they not have a playoff? The heck happened in 1902? Oh, 1902. There was no World Series. There wasn't. They just won. Okay, so 1902, 1909. That's
the end of the list.
That's the end of the list. (1902) 1909.
So, what did we win? 98 the one year, then 14 or 13?
Yeah, which tied, it was 15, and that tied the 91 Pirates and the 79 Pirates. 79 Pirates who did win a World Series. Yeah. Oh, and the 1908 Pirates, who also did not go to the playoffs because they were in second place. 1903, by the way, was the first World Series. Pirates lost to the Boston Americans in 1903. So twice they won 100 games. 412 said once. OG said never been done. Shared just go into the Baltimore piece saying they had a stacked prospects list in 22 and still does today. OG said leave it to the Pirates to win 100 games when there's no World Series. That is, yeah. I mean, they never, like, it had never existed, right? So,
right. Still
yeah.
a very Pirates thing.
Still a very Pirates thing. So, yeah. And that was even in a 142 game season, by the way.
Yeah.
So, like, they were killing it. Might be the best win-loss percentage. Yeah, that's the best win-loss percentage they ever had. They had a guy named Honus Wagner. It's pretty good.
Heard of him.
Pretty good. Never saw him play, but pretty good. So, Michael from 412 says anything pre-1903 isn't real. That's fair. So anyway, to just say that this team's going to win 100 games is a huge, huge statement.
Yeah.
Huge statement for that reason. That was interesting. I actually wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. All right. Go ahead.
No idea.
Okay.
I had no idea.
No idea. I'm not looking at how many times they lost though. Not looking at it. Seth said he had to put the baby back to sleep. Yeah, he fixed Bucks, by the way. If you're watching this and you saw that he spelled Bucks wrong, he fixed it. Don't worry about it. And also, Seth, I get it, man. I get it. Right before we went on, my 2-year-old came in here screaming about Baby Shark, just screaming, "Hey, can you put Mickey Racer on in the room out here?" No, you're going to bed, dude. No. I had to text her. I'm texting her upstairs like, "Hey, I got a screaming kid down here. Let's do something about it." She said, "Keel down. We're all right." Oh, he's funny, but he yells about everything. I feel it. So IKF is our leadoff guy now, Jake. Let's move into why. Andrew McCutcheon's hurt his knee, running to first. And we got another IKF quote, might as well. Cutch is irreplaceable. No matter what you do, you're never going to replace a guy like that. Had a lot of good things. Cutch was hot, dude. Like, he was hitting well recently.
11-game hitting streak.
11-game hitting streak, up above 350, and clutch at the same time. Like, you know what I mean? He had the one game where like the whole offense was him and whatever. But I mean, but he's even throughout that whole time, like you're watching him and he doesn't look like he's feeling good at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ends up being the knee, left knee. It's very swollen from what, you know, the reports are saying. I haven't heard anything though. Like what it is. He's on the IL, obviously. Is this the end of McCutcheon's season?
I mean, I don't know. We have no information on it yet.
Well, right. I'm not asking you to tell me the truth. What do you think?
I mean, it would be tough for him to. I mean, what is this? We're halfway through August. It'd be tough to get everything under control in a timely manner. And no.
You think he comes back?
Mm-hmm.
So you say, "Oh, I love that." Mm-hmm. I'm going to explain why it would be hard, and then say, "No, he's coming back."
Yeah, I would think that if it's the only reason I'm going to say it's not the end of his season is because if it's the end of his career, I think he starts the last game of the year in center field. They throw to one batter and take him out.
Oh, you think they go that route?
Mm-hmm.
So injured,
if it's
completely injured, he's just going to go stand in center field.
I mean, if he can't walk, it's a little different.
Well, he's walking.
Like if it's an ACL, like gone,
right?
Then no. But if he's able to jog out to center field, last home game of the year,
which is a Thursday.
Hey, that place will be packed.
Man. A Thursday against Milwaukee, I think, or a Wednesday. Nope, it's a Thursday. And it's a 12:35 game with school in session.
School that's out.
City of Pittsburgh says no school on the 26th of September this year. We're canceling it. Everyone's excused. Because this is Cutch City. I'm wearing the shirt. For those of you on audio, I'm wearing the Cutch City shirt. The last home game of like a weekend would be the weekend of the 13th, 14th, and 15th. The Royals are in town for the last, and I know because I'm probably going to have to go. I've got 2 vouchers left, and we didn't go to 90s night, so we're going to have to figure that one out.
I got 2 vouchers. I don't know what the heck I'm going to do with.
Yeah.
Might be going to Cutch's last game.
Our parents may have already gone to it.
Yeah.
You know, they were there Friday night. Sherrod says he too would like to see Cutch in center field his last game as a Pirate. I think that'd be. I think if he can come back and be, like I don't like pitch to one batter and take him out. I think he plays. You know what I'm saying?
Especially if
he's got to have an at bat. You know what I'm saying? He's going to lead off, so he's going to lead off that next inning. And then if he gets a hit, you take him. You can pinch run for him if he's hurting that bad.
Yeah.
He gets a hit, you can pinch run for him. If not, if he gets out, or even if he walks, you can pinch run for him if he's hurting that bad. If he gets out or he hits a home run, you wait till the next inning, and then you do the whole thing where you do a mound visit and you say, Cutch, you're going out. You know what I mean? And allow that to happen. But it's got to be said. It's got to be said that it's the end before anything like that happens. If he doesn't want it out there, he just plays a game. And they take him out when they take him out, and he knows it, and then after the game, he tells everybody. OG says he thinks Cutch returns for one more year. So he says, hey, he's going to make the knee better, come back next year, career not over.
If it's not, and I could see that happening, if it's not that serious, like if it's not an ACL or anything like that. I mean, bro's got 16 home runs this year. We have worse hitters on the team.
Oh, for sure.
So I don't know.
And a couple comments here. Seth says, I hope he comes back this year. But next year, if he comes back, hopefully just a bench role, which is kind of the other piece that we're talking about. OG doubles down on that, says might need to accept a diminished role as not the everyday DH, though. I think that's going to be the thing is, can McCutchen come back next year? And really that role would have to change. Maybe plays once a series. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it might be one of those things where he would have to say, I want to play, but this is my last year. I will accept one start per series, and obviously available to pinch hit whenever they need him. But as far as as far as what's acceptable, and they could probably play him more than that if they needed to, right? But for him to just say, like, if I can at least do that, that would be, you know what I mean?
It might even, if he's only playing a few times a week, couple times a week, he could probably play some outfield if needed.
I mean, I think right now, given the fact that he's just basically hobbled all season, he's not been healthy at all.
Right.
It's always something. And that's the way it is for a guy who played outfield for so many years. And, he's not, I don't know, like when you've dealt with like ACL injuries and whatever else, you know what I'm saying? And he got hurt playing football even when he was young, right? So like there was all that stuff that came in, and there was a reason he stopped playing football and all those things. And it was like, eventually, I mean, it's gonna take you down. And he's 37. You're talking about bringing him back at 38 and kind of like beat up, and that's fine. Like, I'm about it. I'm a McCutchen fan. I don't want to see him go away, but I think that him just not being an everyday guy has to be the way that you would have to go with it.
Yeah.
And I
agree.
There's part of me that doesn't really want to see that. You know what I mean? There's part of me that just says, I don't know, but I don't know. The leadership I'd love to have there. Yeah. I just don't know if like this team, a young team, the way that they build their team, they're going to have, I'm going to say, like, if they don't make some blockbuster moves, right? There's a chance you go into next season with like a De La Cruz Sawinski platoon in right field. You pick up a center fielder that's able to play every day. That's your big move, right? You have Reynolds in left. You've got Key and Cruz and Gonzalez and IKF in the mix to help all of that out. First base we talked about tonight, whether it's Tellez, whether it's somebody else. And then your catcher stuff with Bart and Henry and Endy and all that, kind of all that baked in. Like, you could kind of see, like, you don't know. You're already saying like there's a possibility of 3 catchers, maybe moving things around. Connor Joe's probably around helping out with first base if that's something, or maybe it's Bart or Davis doing the first base thing.
I
maybe
don't see Connor Joe with the organization next year.
That's fair. And that could be something too. They could go that route. But like, depending on what they do in center field, I mean, you've got some of those, you just need depth. And so mentioning, like, I don't know if Cruz is a possible DH guy. I mean, there was just some comments that he made saying that he did this like 8 times in 2022 and that was it. And so, like, if that's what he needs to do, he'll do it, but he really likes to be on the field. I think sometimes those guys need to be plugged in certain scenarios. And so I don't know. But it's just one of those like weird situations that I'm like, what would be the role? And you know what I'm saying? How does that fit in with everything else? And where will they need to use that DH? And you got IKF there. He's going to have to play. So he's bouncing around the infield. You're probably going to use that DH as a day off for a lot of guys, is what Reynolds has been doing, but you're going to do it for other guys too. Specifically, if you have 3 catchers, you can DH one of them.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to do that otherwise, but but we know that if McCutchen wants to come back, and the money will be there for McCutchen if he wants to come back because of his relationship with Bob, and he'll make sure of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's there for that. It's probably just a $5 million contract, which really, as a backup, that's a fine contract. Like, that's not too much.
No.
I actually, you know what I mean? Like, anything under $8 million is okay. I understand in the context of this team and the way that they've had their payroll historically. So, like, you have grounds to say $5 million is too much for the Pirates to have on the bench. But I think for any other team, $5 million is a bench player.
Yeah.
And so I don't know that, actually Pitt City Wood asked that same question. It won't make sense to eat up $5 million for that type of role. I honestly don't think that that's a lot of money. Like, that's an arbitration player. So it's, you know, you're going to have arbitration players making that type of money. I wonder, Connor Joe's was just his first year of arbitration, right? Let me see if I can find it. So this was just his first year of arbitration, and he's already at over $2 million. You know what I mean? If he would have, I mean, he's kind of obviously, you know, fallen away, but like you could see that going to $4 million, $5 million, just, you know, because it does.
Yeah.
And he's clearly a bench role.
Yeah, and I think I wouldn't mind seeing him as a bench role. Like, it wouldn't bother me all that much. Just for the fact that get him another chance in Pittsburgh
to win.
Even though he would, yes.
Yeah. Because none of the stats.
To win big.
Yeah. None of the stats are really there. But yes, it could be that. I can help the team win. I would like to help the team win, kind of a thing like that.
Yeah, it's just so much more, even if it is that bench role, that so much goes into that when it's a guy like Andrew McCutchen.
Yeah.
It's just so much more intangibles that he can bring that's not on the field, that even in a backup role, he's going to help this team.
Yeah, I think so too. And leadership wise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think leadership wise plays into that as well. So yeah, I don't know. So Ghost Guy, next year was always the beginning of the window. I'd be surprised if McCutchen returns next season. I think this could be his last year in baseball. And then he adds the Cruz is likely the DH. I still think that the Cruz thing, and we don't have to go into that tonight, but I still think that that's going to have a lot to do with Cruz. I don't think that the team can just, you know what I'm saying? Like, you need to put guys into position for them to be good players, and you know your players, and you know what they need. And Cruz is such a dynamic, impactful player. If he still wants to play shortstop, he's going to play shortstop. And now, let's talk about, are we done with Cutch first? I don't want to end too soon.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. We didn't talk about the error that was charged to O'Neal Cruz in today's game. It's a relay throw from the outfield, throw home, one hop to Bart. Obviously, it's thrown hard. Obviously,
long hop.
Yeah, it was not a short hop. I'll tell you that.
Right.
Maybe a little bit of a skip because it had rained. So maybe a little bit of a skip, but either way, a ball that is like preferred. You don't actually, a catcher doesn't actually want the ball getting there in the air. Right? You don't want the ball getting in there in the air. You want it one hopped every time. A one hop is easier to make a play on. You have control of the ball a lot more. I played center field. I was told all the time, don't throw it way up in the air so that they catch it. Like, it's actually easier to catch off one hop. Always one hop it. So that's what you shoot for, right? That is absolutely not an error on him. As a matter of fact, I don't even know that it's an error on anybody. They didn't give you a good angle, but I think he's at third regardless.
Yeah.
He moved to third on the throw, not on the error.
Right.
So there was no need to charge an error to O'Neal Cruz on that play. And I thought about that, and I was like, well, I could talk about that tonight, but like, this is a guy who's made 20 errors. So I don't really know that it matters. Like, who cares? He got one more. But the more I've been thinking about it, and I haven't been able to find the answer to this because it's going to take like a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of time, basically. But I started looking up earlier this week. I started looking up something about Cruz's errors and how many of the guys that have gotten on base because of an error came around to score. And it's two-part, right? Are our pitchers letting those things bother them in a way? Like, what happened after that? You know, and you got to watch the plays. You can't just look and see if they score. You got to see, like, this guy was dealing, Cruz makes an error, now he throws a curveball right over the middle of the plate. Like, he's obviously letting it bother him. You know what I mean? If he hasn't done that and all of a sudden he's doing it. Or, you know what I mean? Obviously, you don't have Uncle Rich out there. What is that what we called him? What did we call him? Rich Hill.
It was Uncle Rich.
Uncle Rich, whatever it was. We don't have him out there.
Probably Grandpa Rich.
Grandpa Rich, probably. We don't have him out there yelling at him. You know what I mean? But are they letting it bother him? The other thing is like, okay, you know, there's errors. How costly are they a lot of times? And part of that was to say, like, if you know, 60 to 70% of his errors are coming around to score, like, this is actually more grounds to say get him off short. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't going into it with the idea of saying, you know, trying to fit it in there. But, you know, the thing is O'Neal Cruz still looks like he can play shortstop. And we get this, and Ghost Guy, I'm not calling you out here because it's, you know, it's not this. When you say at 24 errors, he cannot continue to play shortstop. But we just saw one error that is a relay throw. So that could be a throw from the outfield. That could be if he's playing second or third or first, he's going to have relay throws.
Yeah.
So, like, that's not a shortstop specific thing. That one's a little bit of a shortstop specific thing, right? But also, this guy is doing relays down the right field line. You've got double plays that he overthrows where the guy was safe anyway, but it goes out of play, so that's an error. If it doesn't go out of play, it's not an error, right? So there's a little bit of that's going on. I did see this, OG. Just side note, I did see this. He signed a contract with the Red Sox this week. Grandpa Rich did. That's hilarious. Thanks for bringing that up, OG. I wasn't thinking about it, but I did see that. That's hilarious. Anyway, there's still something to look at. I'm not convinced of anything yet, but is he capable of playing shortstop? Yes. One of the searches I did, I was just looking for all of his errors, and I only got 10. And I'm like, why am I only getting 10 errors? He's made 20 at the time, 22 or 23. And I think I was getting 10 or 11 errors. And it was because of the way that you have to do these searches. And I'm on Baseball Savant and I'm trying to figure it out. I was on StatHead, but StatHead doesn't do fielding events. So you can't find them by the fielder. You can only find them by the hitter. Okay, so I moved on. I'm on StatCast. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm putting O'Neal Cruz at shortstop. I'm trying to look at anytime somebody reached on an error. Okay, well, I just need an error on the play, but reached on an error, there was 10 of them. So if that search was correct, and I still have to go back and dig to make sure, right? I'm going to basically have to pull up every single box score that he made an error in it, and then I'm going to have to go back and read the entire game log, find the air, find the things that were around it, go into Baseball Savant, watch the pitches, you see what I'm saying? Like, this is going to take some hours I don't have. And so if I get the hours, I will do this at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is a thing to talk about, right? But if there are 10 guys who've reached on an error because of O'Neal Cruz this season, well, he still is capable of playing shortstop.
Yeah.
If his errors aren't getting guys on base and they're errors like he had today, or errors like he had, which I mean, I guess I don't know, the Luis Ortiz play. Would that be a reached on an error, or would that be a fielder's choice? Now, he made the error. It was still a bad throw, but it was a catchable throw. So it's Cruz's error, and that makes sense. But it is a play that you could say, like, yeah, I mean, that's a tough play. But it is an error, right?
Yeah.
There's been balls that he's dove for, stood up, threw it into the stands or into the net. That's an error. And it's like, yeah, but a lot of guys don't even catch that ball. You know what I'm saying? So there's like, there's some things there. I'm going to tell you, like, from what I'm watching, this guy can play shortstop without question right now. He's not going to be able to long term. He's going to get a little bit older, and that body's so big, it's not going to work. He's going to eventually move off of shortstop. Maybe it's DH, maybe it's in the outfield. I don't know. But
I think he ends up as a DH. I don't think he goes to the outfield, to be honest.
I don't know that I've said that before. I don't know that it works in the outfield unless it's center field. I don't know, but I could see DH for sure. I could see that, but the guy he's able to play shortstop, especially right now. The errors are there, yes, but I just don't think that they are. And how many of those, Jake, have been mental errors? The play in left field.
Yeah,
it's a mental error. And those things with maturity and experience start to go away. That's why I don't do it again. Pit City says, I don't mind giving Cruz another year at shortstop. I think it's there. So Ghost Guy dropping it said Rich Hill also had a chance to sign with the Pirates again this offseason and declined because he wanted a winning team. Because he knows if he would have signed, all he would have done is yell at everybody and made sure that they weren't a winning team. Because that's all he did was complained and cried and yelled at his own players. Definitely not a guy I want around this team. Way too impactful on young players to have Grandpa Rich out there screaming at everybody because he can't pitch.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? So, not my guy. Not my guy. He stinks. Yeah. I don't know. Ghost Guy just doubling down. His future is a DH or outfield, not shortstop. Jake knows what's up. I think Jake's agreeing with me here, though. He's saying eventually. The big body eventually is moving. We're both saying that.
Yeah.
We're both saying that. I don't think next year DH is in the cards for this guy.
I think if it is, it'll be like towards the end of the year or something that I don't
He'd have to have another 24 errors in August. He'd have to have another 24 errors in August, and then we'd start talking about it. Defense is not just errors. We have to get out of the mindset that defense is fielding percentage. I mean, it's just not. Like, there's just plays that this guy makes that other people can't. So, I think we need to let this go a little bit, see some maturity, see how it grows, all those things. But you're not releasing him because of errors.
No. Right.
And you're not sending him to the minors because of errors. Right? I mean, this guy's hitting. And he's only getting better.
Yeah. His average is up to 261 now?
261 now, yeah. Which and you got to remember, he just missed an entire season of baseball.
Yeah. And Endy was talking about it. Like, Endy's trying to get back this year, like to play in games this year.
Yeah.
And he said, I mean, everybody's like, this isn't a quote, but it's a paraphrase of something he said. Everybody's watching O'Neal Cruz struggle because he missed an entire year. I don't want to miss an entire year.
Yeah.
Like, I want to play some games so that I can have a normal off season and be ready to go next year.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Interesting, Matt. Jeter was almost as tall and just as bad on D. I don't have Jeter as almost as tall as O'Neal Cruz.
He was what, like 6'2"?
Derek Jeter was, oh, come on, 6'3". That's a huge difference, 6'3" to listed at 6'7". I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's a big difference. I could see that. And just as bad on D also. Once again, Derek Jeter was not a bad shortstop. I
will go on record as saying Derek Jeter was not a bad shortstop, but he was overrated.
Yeah. 5 Gold Gloves, right? Maybe not, right?
Yeah.
But okay, so Matt thought that Jeet was a little bit taller than that. That's fair. Yeah. Because if he's like 6'5", then you can say, I mean, that's what Ellie is, right? And they talk about Ellie and O'Neal being these tall, huge shortstops. And Ellie's 6'5", O'Neal's 6'7". So, you can kind of...
Wasn't Tulowitzki 6'5"?
Tulowitzki was 6'3". Yeah.
I always thought he was really tall.
Well, I mean, at the time, though, that felt really tall. There wasn't many of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Cal Ripken Jr. was 6'4", and he kind of set that. Like, he kind of changed the game a little bit, saying that tall guys could play short.
Yeah.
But that's even 6'4". Makes a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt. He said Gold Gloves really. Yeah, Jeter had 5 Gold Gloves. More than Cal Ripken. And as a matter of fact, no, his were both as short. Back-to-back years, too, for Cal Ripken. So, like, even then, like, Cal Ripken Jr., like, won 2 Gold Gloves. I mean, O'Neal Cruz never has to win a Gold Glove to be a good shortstop. You know what I'm saying?
No. Right.
But if you could have 2 years... For Cal Ripken, those Gold Gloves happened when he was age 30 and 31. You know what I'm saying? So, like, talking about, a Hall of Famer. When we're talking about Jeter and we're talking about Cal Ripken. Jeter's first Gold Glove was age 30. So these taller guys, it just maybe takes them a little bit longer to kind of figure this out. That's actually I'm glad you brought that up, dude, because like I said, I don't see O'Neal Cruz being in this realm of winning a Gold Glove.
Right.
But if his best years are going to happen defensively, are going to happen later in his career because of that, I don't know if there's something to that or not. I'd have to look up a lot more players, but that's just an interesting exercise right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it is what it is. Where are we at on time? Okay, we're getting close here. Hey, Indianapolis is going to be in Columbus this week. I'm going to go at least on Wednesday. I got the day off Wednesday. It's a day game. I don't know if they've got pitching up, man. I don't know when they list the pitchers for the following week in the minors, but I'm getting a little bit nervous because I know I can't go Thursday, and I don't know. Oh, just show me the schedule, guys. I know I can't go Thursday. I think I could go any other day because there's only one day game. So I think I could make it to any of the other games. But we already have tickets for Wednesday. Not going to see Billy McKinney because Noah Hiles has a tweet out there saying Billy McKinney is being called up for the Rangers series. I haven't seen anything else. I haven't checked. Hey, Pitt City, what? Look at that timing. You fellas want to mention McKinley call up briefly? Yes. Yes. So Billy McKinney called up. I don't know if that's for Alika, if that's for G1 Bay. G1 Bay has had a run here lately, and maybe it's kind of like, hey, that run's over.
Yeah.
Maybe we're done with that. I'd be down with that. Also, it could be for Alika. I mean, they've got Triolo. They've got Triolo to back up the infielders, so they could go another outfielder route. But I don't know why you would. I don't know why you would keep Bay around, and it's going to have to be a 40-man move. Which part of me is a little bit nervous that 40-man move just ends up being Cutch on the 60-day injured list. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it could be, and then they'd be done. So. Ghost Guy says I need to be a Cruz apologist. Listen, if I was the only one saying this stuff, I probably wouldn't say it. But I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Right.
A lot of people still believe that Cruz can do it. Like I said, I'm not saying that I think the guy's going to be a Gold Glover. He's going to make his errors. It's going to happen. And then in 4 or 5 years, he's going to get too big to play the position and he's going to move off of it. And it's going to take care of itself. He'll be more mature then. He'll be able to handle a different position if that's what the problem is. I'm not saying it is, if that's what the problem is. OG says about McKinney, please be Bay's replacement. I don't want to see any more of Bay ever. That's fair.
Yeah.
I can't get the Indianapolis. There it is. And then it went away. It loaded for a second and went away, Jake. There it is. It's back. I just want to see if they're even marking like the first game picture. That's all I want to know. TBD. All right. They're not going to mark any of them. Bubba Chandler just threw an absolute gem this past week. Friday night, I think. 11 strikeouts. Just absolute bullets. Thomas Harrington took a perfect game through 5. Ended up making it through 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs. I think just a couple strikeouts, but I mean, you can argue about it. You know what I mean? You want to fight about it?
Did you suck on some helium there for a second?
No, it's the Family Guy thing. You want to fight about it? You ever heard that guy?
Hey. Is that Quagmire?
No, it's the guy who, I think that's like his only line in the whole show. Anyway, I don't remember who the guy is. Anyway, hopefully I get to see... I know that one of those two guys are going to pitch on Thursday because that's the day I can't go.
Yeah.
But I will go to see if it's Friday and Saturday night, Bubba Chandler, Thomas Harrington. I'm at both games without question. I'm going to both. So that's it. Pitt City What's going to see the Curve for the first time on September 1st. That's pretty cool. I've never been out there.
Nice.
Never seen a game there. So, yeah, I think that's all we got. Do we have anything else there? You know what? We were going to talk about like Baseball America and MLB Pipeline. And if you guys haven't heard, the system rankings are just way down. The prospect rankings, Baseball America, which I know they're supposed to be the... yes, this is true too, shared, by the way. It says Tuesday Indy starter should be Jones Rehab. I was kind of hoping for Wednesday on that one too. But I don't know. Could be Burrows as well. Be excited about that. Anyway, 27th for Baseball America, ranking the Pirates 27th. And MLB Pipeline 20th. Pipeline's preseason rank was 9th. Now, granted, Jared Jones, Paul Skeens. I don't know if Nick Gonzalez was still considered on that list. I don't think so.
I'm not sure.
But at least those two, you know what I'm saying? So like
Davis might have been.
No, he was off for sure because he played a lot more than. Remember, Nick Gonzalez, like it's like they.
Yeah, you're right.
They didn't play him much, but Davis played a fair amount, enough to get off the prospect list. I thought maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I get it. You dropped a couple like big names off of that. I don't feel like that big of a drop really makes sense.
Right.
Unless you're saying like, oh, we were so wrong.
And we didn't trade that. Like the trades we made weren't from our top prospects.
No. So I don't know. Like I said, if we had more time, we probably would go more into this and maybe talk through some of it. But honestly, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like prospect rankings are good. They give you an idea of what's coming. You don't want to be 27th or 20th. That's not a good sign. That's not good. But at the same time, like, let's see how it happens. I also think that they're very pitching heavy, and I think that's probably playing a big role on that. Yeah, OG says Termar's stock fell and the remaining pitchers are underrated. So, and really, like, why? Like, I just watched a video today of Termar absolutely obliterating a ball. And it feels like I go and I look around, I'm like, he seems like he's doing fine. I mean, he's a prospect. He's very young. Like, you know what I mean? You either believe in the talent or not. Who cares what the numbers say? Like, you're a scout. You're supposed to be one of watching the games, which is what makes me nervous about it. Like, what are you seeing that we're not seeing because I don't watch them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If he's watching these games and like Termar actually stinks, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Who do we have to pay off for the scouts to say that Termar's really good so that we can trade him? Seems like other teams do that. They're always like, this prospect's awesome. And then you're like, who did you trade for that guy? Oh, he's no good. I don't know. Obviously, that's not a thing you can do. So Sherrod says, I know I'm still getting stuck on this because I might be going to the games. He's saying Wednesday should be Burrows, Thursday Bubba, Friday Harrington. But Bubba and Harrington have been the Friday and Saturday night for 2 straight weeks. So let me hold out hope that it's Bubba and Harrington on Friday and Saturday, okay? Pit City What says Termar is the size of a grasshopper.
That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. So is Altuve's. It's fine. Everything's fine.
I'm going to leave that one up. That's
fine.
the comment of the night. We got to get out of here. This has been a lot of fun. Thanks again, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you hit subscribe, likes, all that stuff on YouTube and your podcast catcher or whatever you call them. Thanks, guys. Let's go Bucks.
Let's go Bucks.
Thanks for listening to my dad and Uncle Jake on the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2Buctober. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are released. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucks.